For many people, silence feels like absence, like abandonment, like heaven has gone quiet. But what if the silence of God is not rejection? What if it is strategy? Throughout the Bible, some of God's most powerful movements happened, not in noise, but in stillness. Take the story of Elijah. Fresh from calling down fire from heaven, the prophet fled into the wilderness, exhausted and afraid. He expected God to show up the same way he had before, with overwhelming power, and at first it seemed promising. A violent wind tore through the mountains, but God was not in the wind. Then came an earthquake, but God was not in the earthquake. Then a raging fire, but God was not in the fire. And then, something unexpected. A still small voice, not dramatic, not overwhelming, almost easy to miss. And yet, that was where God was. Here's the uncomfortable truth many people never consider. God's silence is often misunderstood because we are conditioned to equate volume with importance. We think, if it's loud, it must be powerful. If it's dramatic, it must be divine. If nothing is happening, God must be absent. But Scripture quietly tells a different story. Silence in the Bible is often the space where preparation happens. Joseph experienced years of silence in prison before his sudden rise to power. David spent long, silent seasons in the wilderness before becoming king. Even Jesus experienced 30 silent years before 3 years that changed the world. Notice the pattern. Silence was not punishment. Silence was process. Because what God builds in quiet seasons often sustains the loud moments later. And this is where the message becomes personal. Maybe you've prayed and heard nothing. Maybe you've waited and seen no sign. Maybe heaven feels unusually quiet right now. But what if, instead of absence, you're in the middle of divine preparation? Because when God is truly finished working, the results rarely arrive quietly. The empty tomb was not quiet. Pentecost was not quiet. Lives transformed across history have never been quiet. But the preparation, often deeply silent. So the next time heaven feels still, don't rush to assume nothing is happening. You might be standing in the very place where God does his deepest work.